Imagine you're standing in the terminal of a major international airport. To your left, a sleek wide-body jet is fueling up for a transatlantic flight. To your right, a brightly colored Boeing 737 is boarding 100 passengers for a 2-hour jump across the coast. Now, look at your phone. You just bought a ticket on that second plane for $19.99. Think about that number for a second. That $19 covers the pilot's salary, the flight attendant's health insurance, the landing fees at both airports, the maintenance of a $100 million machine, and the thousands of gallons of kerosene-based fuel required to fight gravity and shove 150,000 pounds of metal through the air at 500 miles per hour. In most airports, a mediocre ham sandwich and a bottle of water will cost you $200. How is it possible that it is cheaper to fly a human being across a mountain range than it is to feed them in the departure lounge? In an era where fuel prices are volatile, labor is expensive, and environmental taxes are skyrocketing, the low-cost carrier, or LCC, shouldn't just be struggling, it should be an economic impossibility. And yet, while the legacy airlines, the ones with the fancy lounges and the free peanuts, frequently flirt with bankruptcy, the budget airlines are often the ones posting record profits. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the most counterintuitive business model in the sky. This isn't just about charging for bags. This is a story of obsession, mathematical ruthlessness, and a total reinvention of what it means to travel. If you walk into a Southwest or a Ryanair hangar, you'll notice something strange. Every single plane looks exactly the same, not just the paint, the model. This is the first commandment of surviving in an expensive environment, the power of one. Legacy airlines often have mixed fleets. They'll have some Boeings, some Airbuses, maybe some Embraers for short hops. To a casual observer, that looks like flexibility. To a budget airline CEO, it looks like a burning pile of cash. When you only fly one type of aircraft, let's say the Boeing 737, everything becomes cheaper. You only need to stock one type of engine part. Your mechanics only need to be certified on one airframe. Most importantly, your pilots and crew are interchangeable. If a flight in Dallas is delayed because a pilot is sick, any other pilot in the vicinity can jump into that cockpit and know exactly where every switch is located. There is no retraining or recertification delay. By simplifying the machine, they simplify the math, but the machine is only half the battle. The real trick is keeping that machine off the ground. An airplane only makes money when it is in the air. On the ground, it is a liability. It's paying parking fees to the airport and earning zero revenue. This is where the low-cost model gets aggressive. Have you ever noticed that when you land on a budget airline, the next group of passengers is already standing at the gate, staring at you like you're overstaying your welcome at a dinner table? That's because of the turnaround. A legacy carrier might let a plane sit at a gate for 60 to 90 minutes. They have to clean the cabins, load complex meal trays, and manage a hub-and-spoke system where they wait for connecting passengers. A low-cost carrier doesn't care about your connection. They operate point-to-point. They want that plane empty, cleaned often by the flight attendants themselves, and reloaded in 25 minutes. By shaving 40 minutes off every stop, a budget airline can squeeze 1 or even 2 extra flights out of every plane every single day. In a 20-hour window, that extra flight is pure margin. They aren't just flying planes, they're running a high-speed conveyor belt in the sky. Let's talk about where these planes land. If you want to fly to Paris, a legacy airline will take you to Charles de Gaulle. It's close to the city, it's iconic, and it's catastrophically expensive for the airline to use. A low-cost carrier will offer you a flight to Paris, but when you land, you'll realize you're actually in Beauvais, which is about 50 miles away and arguably closer to Belgium than the Eiffel Tower. Why do they do this? Because secondary airports are desperate. Major hubs have all the leverage. They charge thousands of dollars in landing fees because they know everyone wants to be there. But a tiny, underused airport an hour outside of the city? They'll often pay the airline to come there, they'll lower their fees to zero or provide marketing subsidies just to get the foot traffic into their terminal. The airline saves $5,000 in landing fees, passes $20 of that saving to you, and pockets the rest. You spend 2 hours on a bus, but hey, the ticket was $19. Now we have to address the elephant in the room, the hidden fees. In the industry, these are called ancillary revenues. To the passenger, they are an annoyance. To the airline, they are the literal lifeblood of the company. There is a psychological trick at play here called unbundling. By stripping away the free water, the free checked bag, and the free seat selection, the airline can show you a base fare that looks impossibly low on a search engine. But here's the secret. Low-cost airlines don't actually want to be cheap. They want to be profitable. They know that once you've committed to that $19 fare, you are in the funnel. You'll pay $30 for a bag because you have to. You'll pay $15 for a priority boarding pass because the line looks long. You'll pay $8 for a can of Pringles because you're trapped at 30,000 feet. In many cases, the profit margin on a $5 bottle of water sold mid-flight is higher than the profit margin on the actual seat ticket. These companies are essentially flying vending machines that happen to have wings. Fuel is the great equalizer. It usually accounts for about 25 to 30% of an airline's operating costs. When oil prices spike, airlines die. Except for the ones who gamble well. Low-cost carriers are often masters of fuel hedging. This is a financial maneuver where the airline agrees to buy fuel at a fixed price years in advance. If the market price of oil is $100 a barrel, but Ryanair signed a contract 3 years ago to buy it at $60, they are suddenly operating in a massive competitive advantage. While the legacy carriers are hiking fares to cover the cost of oil, the budget guys are still cruising on old prices. It's a high-stakes game of poker. If they hedge at $80 and the price drops to $40, they're in trouble. But because they have so much cash on hand, thanks to those $5 Pringles, they can afford to play the long game. Finally, we have to look at the people. Surviving in an expensive environment requires a lean workforce. This doesn't just mean paying people less, though that is often part of the equation through different union structures. It means making people do more. At a legacy airline, you have gate agents, cleaning crews, baggage handlers, and catering staff. At a low-cost carrier, those lines blur. Flight attendants are often the ones tidying the cabin between flights. Pilots might be involved in more of the operational planning. Every person employed by the company is scrutinized. If a task can be automated, like checking in your own bag or printing your own luggage tag, it will be. Every employee saved is another few dollars off the ticket price. As we look toward the future, the environment is only getting more expensive. Carbon taxes are becoming the new reality. Sustainable aviation fuel, SAF, costs 3 to 5 times more than traditional jet fuel. You might think this would be the end for the $19 ticket, but the history of aviation tells us otherwise. Low-cost airlines survive because they are the most adaptable organisms in the sky. They don't see themselves as luxury travel providers. They see themselves as logistics companies. They've taught us that we don't actually need the hot meal, the reclining seat, or the fancy terminal. We just want to get from point A to point B without breaking the bank. So the next time you're cramped into a middle seat, clutching a $10 sandwich you bought at the gate, staring at the back of a non-reclining plastic chair, just remember, you are witnessing a miracle of modern economics. The airline isn't just surviving the expensive environment. They've figured out how to make the environment work for them. They've turned the sky into a commodity, and in doing so, they've made the world a whole lot smaller. One $19 ticket at a time.